Taoist Magic Talk Show brought to you by Taoist Master jeesifu and Yat Dragon Taoism. ผู้เรียงเทนจวน Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. This is your jeesifu right here again, and today we're back with another episode of this cool Taoism lecture. Okay, so I have made up my mind about the new schedule for the show. So I plan to release one episode of podcast on the Yat Dragon channel every Wednesday. Okay, so Wednesday is here, and then for the video part, I'm gonna post on Chi in Nature's channel. And so far, I plan to post on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Okay, so there will be like 3 videos, 1 podcast every week. And the other days, I will let people just take their time to digest the content. Or if you have extra time, you can visit our website, tinyatdragon.com, and visit my blogs, which I will be posting there as well. So there will be a whole week of non-stop marathon knowledge content raining down all the time, and that should keep everyone happy and busy. So yeah, and just to let you know that I will be pre-recording and then scheduling them into the list. So if I have time that day, I will record a few more episodes and then put them into the account, and then I'll be just like schedule them to release on that day, so that we will always have a consistent release for every episode, and you can also know and expect when to see those things. Okay, so that's the update for today, and what's next is our main topic, talking about Taoism spell. Okay, so I realized that the word spells or spell casting, it kind of have a different meaning with the Westerner version of what they think or define spells are. Because when you look at people saying, "Oh, I'm going to do a spell for you," right? For example, the witchcraft things, Wicca, right? They will say, "Oh, I offer you this service like a spell casting," and what they do is not actually a spell, but they're actually doing like a whole ritual or ceremony for the person, casting the whole magic on it. Okay, so yeah, I need to define what I mean by spell in Taoism, right? So if you are learning under me or you're about to learn under me, well, this is a piece of knowledge that you could make use of. Okay, so spells. When you look at spells in Chinese, we call 咒语. 咒语 is Cantonese. Okay, so it pretty much is like a bunch of words. Okay, you say the words inside yourself or with your mouth, like depending on how you want to use it, and boom, magic. Well, most people think that it works like that, okay, but it is not like that. Okay, so yeah, like for example, you see people love the word golden light. Okay, golden light spell, right? So they believe by chanting the spell itself, the spell, like the word, have magical power. After you chant the word, you will somehow magically okay, there's no explanation for it, but magically there will be golden light shining out from your body, and the ghosts or evils will not like it, and there you go, protection, right? Well, yeah, a lot of people learning Taoism out there right now, even the one that are like actually learning it, they might be in this stage believing that it is the word that have the power, and it's not. Okay, I have been through it for many years already, and I know that it is not like that. Okay, it is not like that. It's not the word that has the power. So what are spells? from the surface, spells are always words. You recite the word and it will do something, right? But precisely speaking, spells are a way to use like a coded thing, like a piece of code, okay? Word code. And you can use that to communicate with the God. So first thing is you need to have the God. If you don't have the God, the power source, the spells are useless. It's like programming in a computer, right? You cannot be programming and there's no computer, right? Like you need to have programming. You need to use the code on a computer. Then the computer will do what your code say, right? The gods need to be there. You need to be connected to a power source. It could be anything, but you need to have a power source. And secondly is the spell needs to be something that your power source agrees to. That is also what most people don't understand, because it's like there's a lot of people, including myself in the past, will go out and do research, and then you will grab all the books and content and website, everything that you can to gather up magic spells, and you believe that it's going to work because it's like, okay, I am studying under this sect and I don't have these spells, so I need them all. You go outside and you start collecting stuff, right? It doesn't work. Okay, I can tell you that it doesn't work. Why? Because those spells have nothing to do with your God. The God that is actually working with you in your lineage. Okay, so if you're like using spells from other sects, it doesn't work. It doesn't matter what the spell is, it doesn't work. So how does the spell start? Like, how does it start? How does it actually begin at the first place? From nothing. So there is the God, right? Okay. Now, the God must have a chosen one that they chose to, like, say, this is the guy, we're going to pass on the stuff to him, and then, or her, and then this person will pass on to the other people. There's always this first generation like that. Okay? And then this person who have the direct connection with the God will also give birth to the new generation who he will qualify as the masters who have the ability to also work with the system. So these people who are authorized to work with the system with the God will be able to create spells according to what they need the God to do for them. For example, they will be like, okay, we need a spell for protection. And then the God will be like, okay, yeah, we'll channel you some power, and then you will be inspired to create a spell. After you created the spell, the God has to agree to it. Once agreement is made, the master have to record the spell, and then from then on, everyone under the master can use the same spell and will have the same effect because the God will listen and answer. So that's what a spell is, okay? Now, if you're in this sect and you use the spell from other lineage, it doesn't work because your God never agreed to it. So you, as a newbie, right, like a newbie learning from the sect, you're not supposed to be the one who are like creating spells. You're supposed to be the one learning the spell from the previous generation and then learning how to use them better and utilize them, right? That's your role. Once you get good at it and you understand what is your God and all that stuff, you understand what the God's power is, then you can create spells and do agreement with the God. But now at this like newbie stage, you don't even know what the gods are. For example, a common belief is that people think that in Chinese there's like this god of wealth. People call him the money god. And then eventually, because it's like everyone call him the money god, right? So you will automatically believe that the god can bring you money. when you are having financial issue, like you have money issue, you pray to that God and say, bring me money, and then do the spell, and you think that it will happen. And then you just sit there and wait, and hey, there's no money coming. And, it's like, it feels so weird, like you do a spell and you believe that that's going to work, and then it doesn't work, right? No money come. Of course, because you don't even understand what that is. You don't even know what the actual God's power can do. You are in a blind belief state. You don't understand God. That's what you're missing. I cannot explain all that in the 8 minutes that I have right now, okay? But I'll explain in the next episode that I'll record what is God. You don't understand what the power of God can do. And that's why you are like, just like, even if you make up a spell for that, it's not going to work, because it's like you're trying to tell your computer, cook me dinner. And your computer cannot cook dinner, right? It's like, the feature is not there. You ask the computer to like show you pictures of dinner, it can do that. But if you ask the computer to cook you the dinner, it cannot do that, right? So you're like using it wrong. You don't know what magic is. You don't know what the power is. So all these like confusion or misunderstanding is what the problem is. This is why you cannot create magic or spells at this stage. Because it's like you don't even understand what a computer is. So how can you understand what you can tell the computer do, right? That's what you're missing. Okay? So you need to learn to use what the previous generation have for you, and then through the experience you will understand more and more about what the reality, what is real God about. Then you're at that stage to create. That's what you're missing. Okay? Now, spells are communication tools. They are like short commands for you to communicate with the God, right? Sometimes we say the spell out loud. Sometimes we say it inside. Okay? But why? It is because sometimes the God is outside of our body. Sometimes it's like inside our body. Now, you see, you don't understand what I'm saying right now, right? Because you don't understand what God is. Most people are believing God in like a form that is not what it is really is. It's like the common belief of God in the Christian perspective, maybe. Like I'm not talking for like the insider view, but more like the public view. So you believe that God is like some kind of being, human being, and he's like, oh, he's just more, well, he's like more superior, whatever thing, right? He's just God, and then he has superpower, and he's gone, and he's somewhere else, but you can just call him like that. Right? What is God? You don't even know what God is. That's the problem. Okay, so I'll explain the God thing in the next episode. But again, sometimes we talk to the God that is outside of us. Let me give you an idea, okay? If I'm walking outside, for example, I am taking the bus or something like that, waiting for a train, something like that, right? I'm outside, working in the office, right? I don't have any gods around me. The gods I can call up must be in a place which we call the pre-heaven. It could be inside my body, the God that I cultivated inside my body. Or it could be a God inside the lineage power source, which we call the court. Okay? It could be somewhere in the pre-heaven. Now, this somewhere in the pre-heaven can be very far away. But because it is a pre-heaven matter, there is no distant limit. That means you can reach it in a split second with the intention. You don't need to travel physically. There's no distance. So it doesn't matter how far it is. You can still reach it in a split second. Okay? Now, if the God is in the pre-heaven or inside our body, then we can find that God by talking to it inside our body. So we need to use the inner voice. Like when you're seeing something inside, use that inner voice to talk to it, right? If we are talking to the God, let's say I'm home and I'm in front of my altar, the altar is in front of me, right? So the gods, the statues and all that, right? The gods are in front of me. Then I will have to say it aloud, because the voice carries that power to them who can receive it outside of my body. If I speak inside, they cannot hear, right? So that's how it works. It's very simple. If the God is in front of you, you say the spell aloud. If this God is not in front of you, then you got to go inside, like work inward, right? That's how it goes. Spells can also be in many forms. For example, in the past, our spells are always in Chinese, just like any Taoist magic sect, right? You have Chinese spell. But now, as we have said, after this update this year, the God have allowed and agreed to the idea of using English and other languages. So we have English spells, okay? And there are other languages spells as well. So, yeah, like it's really not limited to any language, because you can say like the spell is just a few sounds. La 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 la. It can be like that too, if the God agrees, right? Now, of course, it cannot sound too ridiculous, like la 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 la, or else like it will be so hard to remember, right? Spells are like password. So imagine you're setting up a password for your bank account, and let's say you have 3 accounts and you need 3 passwords. If every one of them is like la 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 la, lulu do do do, and then it'll be like so hard to remember which is which. And that's why the creation of spells often need some word that kind of relate to what the spell does. And so while you're like practicing and doing the cultivation, you kind of like the words kind of remind you of what you're trying to do or get from that spell. Okay, so let's say I have an account. I need to access the account to take money for grocery. Then the password would be grocery money 123. Okay, I know it's a very lame password, but it works. You can remember it all the time, right? These spells are not like really password. You know, like you don't get hacked by other things and then like, oh, like someone got my password and then they enter my account and steal my money. It won't happen, right? So the spells are often made to be more like, it helps the practitioner to also learn something as they cultivate the spell and as they remember the spell, right? So as you use the spell, there's like some small pieces of wisdom sandwich inside the spell that relates to the spell's topic. And so as you learn, the master can pick the spell out and say, oh, you know, we're going to like analyze the spell today and we're going to teach you these wisdom. It's not that because of these wisdom and then the spell have those magic power. It's not. It's because the spell itself was magical from the beginning already. Even though if the spell is like la 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 la, it will still work, even though wisdom. What makes a spell real is the agreement between the human and the God, which is what the whole thing is about. You talking to the God. Okay? Now, our timer is up. And as I've said, my next episode that I'm going to record is going to be talking about what is the God. So stay tuned and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.